through the madness and bringing you everything you need to know about that terrifying incident. The alleged shooter, they say that it's Thomas Crooks. I told you yesterday, I'm going to give it about a week. I'm going to see what comes out this week, and Thomas Crooks looks like he's the shooter. We don't know if he acted alone. So this is just a tragic loss of life. I talked about Corey yesterday. And something like this shouldn't have happened. It just shouldn't have happened. And it could have been prevented. Good morning. This is Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. I so do appreciate you tuning in. We've got all kinds of things I've got to talk about this morning. First, I am going to get to, everybody listening to this show, they know that the Secret Service response on July 13th regarding President Donald Trump's assassination attempt was just painfully pathetic. They failed to do their job. The shooter nearly assassinated the former president, and that shouldn't be happening in 2024. So we're going to go through what we found out. The Post Millennial has the story, how the Secret Service, they installed a bunch of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion agents in the Secret Service. And I think it's interesting that Trump has these DEI agents. I mean, it's clear because Joe Biden hasn't had an attempted assassination on his life yet. Who knows? I mean, the DNC, I've told you, it's going to be here in Chicago. I know plenty of reporters who are going to be there. They're freaking out. They're getting bulletproof vests. The reporters are going to be getting bulletproof vests, and they're worried about the Palestinian protesters, the deranged leftists at that event. See, this is what happens when the enemy has this rhetoric, and has had this rhetoric for years. I'm talking since back in 2016. So we're going to get to that. But next, Donald Trump, he has an interview in the New York Post. I'm going to lay out what he says, and from his point of view, he discusses his surreal experience of almost getting shot. Also going to talk a little bit about Kyle Gass, Jack Black. They're both pathetic pieces of trash, but that's not breaking news. But never underestimate how despicable these people are. They actually made a joke about the assassination on the former president, and I'm going to walk you through that. But there's a few other things that I want to get to today. The RNC, obviously, I think Donald Trump is going to speak. I did see Donald Trump walk out to some music at the RNC. I've got quite a few friends there, and they say that the police presence is insane. So there's just a lot of police around the RNC. There's a good feeling. We know that J.D. Vance is now the Republican VP pick, the Republican nominee for, and Donald Trump is officially the nominee now. So they voted on all of that, the delegates there. So praying for everybody at the RNC. But we're going to walk you through some of this stuff. And I want to open the show with, some examples and some stories. And I'm not going to both sides this thing today because that's just not reality. Really, I tried. I started to try to find both sides because, I was really upset when President Joe Biden came out and tried to equate, the kidnapping of Gretchen Whitmer, which wasn't really a kidnapping because those guys got acquitted. So they were found not guilty. So you can't really say that they officially kidnapped Gretchen Whitmer. And he tried to equate, some political violence or some things that, happened to the assassination of or the attempted assassination of President Donald Trump. Okay. And I just can't find that level of equivalency out there coming from the right, that level of political violence. Okay. At this point, I can't find anything. And if you really, honestly, leftists listening, if you find something that is somewhat equivalent, send it my way, 309-451-9299. You can totally do that here on Conservative Cat. You can find me on the YouTube, subscribe to my channel, and then throw it in the comments section. But I'm going to walk you through the proof of, hey, this is from one direction, this political violence that we're seeing. So someone was an inch away from dying, and we're dealing with a lot of emotions, and I'm going to try to be patient, but you're going to hear a lot of these calls. Bring down the temperature, tone down your rhetoric, bring it down. I'm not going to be doing that. And I don't think you should either. And here's why. I know where those calls are coming from. I know it's coming from the media. I know it's coming from Washington, D.C., and I know why they're saying it and why they're demanding you tone down your rhetoric. I also don't believe you should bring down the temperature because these people brought it up to a boiling point and then it backfired. And I'm not calling, I want to be very clear, I'm not calling for political violence or violence, physical violence, and I'm not calling for you to hurt anybody. And that's one of the only times I'm going to say it, okay? I'm being very, very clear. I'm not calling for that. So if you want to misconstrue what I say, then you're a fool, okay? So we hear this all the time. Political violence, it's so unprecedented. Violence has never played a role in American politics, and that's just not true. Political violence is not unprecedented. In fact, it's very precedented. I think we see political violence all of the time. It's happened many times. People who say that don't know what they're talking about. What's unprecedented is the conviction, the impeachment, the indictments of a political opponent who really hasn't, to this day, I don't even think he could really tell me what crime he committed. Okay, so he hasn't even committed a crime. That's unprecedented. The goal to destroy a person and his supporters, even though he left office peacefully. That's actually what's unprecedented here. Now, I don't believe violence is never acceptable. Again, disclaimer, not calling for physical violence or for you to hurt anybody, but I think the American Revolution was a great thing. For example, I think ending slavery was a great thing. And all of that, political violence, right? If you have disagreements about abortion or foreign wars and you talk with somebody and you have a disagreement, you're arguing about violence, right? Abortion, violence, foreign wars, violence. So political violence is like the helm of all of politics. So to say that, political violence is so unprecedented, that's just not true. And I'm not calling for you to, fight the leftists or the media in this country, but I am I am going to say that they are the enemy. And you can say somebody is the enemy and not go beat the living hell out of them, right? Not everybody is friends. This isn't a kumbaya. You only make allies when you agree on a common enemy and you protect your communities. And the only way you can really protect your communities is if you understand the active threats in your community. And you have to know that when I say the left in the media is the enemy, I'm coming with that based on truth. I'm coming with that rooted in proof. And I have proof when I say the media and the left are an enemy. I'll start by saying who's not your enemy. Your enemy is not your neighbor. It's not your friend. It's not your community. And even those who vote differently than you. Self-identified socialists. I know there's a couple of them in your community. I know there's a couple on the county board, okay, where they say that they are self-identified socialists. I'd say they're wrong. And if they openly, disagree with you, that's a good sign. That person is not your enemy. And if they're willing to say, hey, I openly disagree with you, they're not your enemy. People who label Trump and you a Nazi or Hitler or a white supremacist and compare you to Hitler, they are your enemy. And like I said, not all enemies require physical violence, but they do need to be stopped, whether that be at the ballot box or whether they be exposed. If they label you a fascist, they are the enemy. And really ask yourself, and I don't think anybody listening to this program is a racist, a homophobe, a transphobe, or whatever, or you hate trans people or you hate gay people, okay, or whatever they call you. I don't think you are an actual Nazi. And I want you to ask yourself genuinely, am I a racist? Am I a Nazi? Am I a white supremacist? Likely your answer is going to be no. Genuinely, no, I am not. So anybody who tries to label you that or accuse you of that, they are the enemy. The people who locked you down for 3 years, closed down your business, they are the enemy. Anyone who actively accuses you of these things, being racists, white supremacists, and they don't get to ask you to turn down your rhetoric. They make those accusations not because they believe it to be true. They make those accusations knowing it's not true, and they hope that someone else out there believes that it's true. Hence the assassination attempt, and that was a long time coming, folks. So these people, when they call you that, they know what they're doing. And I ask you, there's this ethical question out there that's always asked, would you go kill baby Hitler? Well, that's kind of a hard question because, he's a baby. Would you be able to kill a baby, somebody who's innocent and hasn't committed these atrocities yet? And then there's the other question, would you go kill Hitler? Well, yes, everybody's answer would be yes, knowing the atrocities he committed. Everybody's answer would be yes. If I had the opportunity to do that, I would. So he'd stop killing and committing genocide. So when you equate Donald Trump to Hitler or his supporters to Hitler, or say that they are a threat to democracy and that under Trump, he's a dictator and that the MAGA Republicans are, vying with him and that they are going to install him in office, of course, you're going to get things like this happening. And some of you have a short memory. Some of you have a very, very short memory. And like I said, I have the proof that the enemy, that the left and the media, they are not only they're not only your enemy, but I have the proof. Okay, so I wanted to pull these up. And if you're watching on the live stream, you can see these headlines. Okay, so one is the shooting that happened at a so-called peaceful Black Lives Matter protest in July of 2016. This was because the enemy tar and feathered an entire profession of people as racist, genocidal maniacs, and someone believed it, and they gunned down these so-called peaceful Black Lives Matter protesters. They gunned down officers. I'm going to read their names. This is in Dallas. Dallas Police Department officers: Lauren Aarons, Michael Kroll, Michael Smith, Patrick Zamaripa, Dallas area transit officer Brent Thompson. These people were all gunned down because the enemy shouted from the rooftops that cops were racist and that they were genocidal maniacs. Okay, the shooter believed these cops were racist because the media said they were. The media is the enemy. David Dorn, 77, he was killed while responding to an alarm at a pawn shop overnight in 2020, another BLM riot. He was a retired police officer, right? And he responds to this alarm. And he wasn't even supposed to be there, right? But he, was helping out his community. And someone believed the accusations being shouted by the enemy. And that's why David Dorn is dead. These people have actual names. They have families. They're brothers, sisters, mothers, daughters, sons. These people are real. They're not just names. And the media, because of their accusations that they know aren't true, killed them all. On August 20th, this person was killed. Aaron Danielson, he was fatally shot in his chest during clashes between pro-Trump groups and left-wing protesters. I saw the video. We watched the video. The leftist in this protest clash said, "We have a Trump supporter over here." And then they pointed to the guy and they shouted, "Hey, we have a Trump supporter over here." Bang. The left has equated Trump supporters to racist, sexist, people who hate gay, they say Trump supporters hate gay people, they're Nazis and they're genocidal maniacs. Of course, you're going to shoot somebody like that. They believed the person who took Aaron Danielson's life in Portland, they believed the shouts and echoes of the enemy. So I thank God that Trump moved his head, but I really wanted to address that. When people say tone down your rhetoric, turn down the temperature, one, these people were the ones who brought the temperature to a boiling point, and now they're saying for you to turn down their temperature, no, or tone down your rhetoric. These people with their rhetoric for years, since 2016, have been echoing and shouting these accusations they know aren't true. And really, the end goal here is to get you killed. Okay, and we're seeing that. I just provided you multiple examples, and the list goes on. I only pulled a few of them here this morning. So I do have to take a quick break, but when we get back, we're going to get into the news, I promise. I wanted to address that. Hey, when they say turn down the temperature, tone down your rhetoric, I'm not going to be doing that because I know where it's coming from. These are the people who have insane rhetoric and it has led to political violence. And I encourage you, find the equivalent for me in all of these cases of somebody on the right doing this. Find it. I mean, I can't. Gretchen Whitmer, the kidnapping, they were acquitted. Kyle Rittenhouse found not guilty, self-defense. So, I mean, really, I implore you to try to find me that. All right, I got to take a quick break. This is Conservative Cat. Find me on YouTube. We've got more content there. Hey, good morning. This is Conservative Cat. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to just sift through some of these just to, show you. I've got my notes here. This is the Dallas ambush, 2016. Multiple officers killed. There's the headline. Okay. And these are the names of the people, these officers. This is the photograph here. You'll see it. These officers had families. These people were killed. These 5 officers, they were killed in Dallas. It was a fateful night. We've all seen the video. These officers were gunned down. Just totally tragic. Okay, I want to show you another one. This is in Portland. Shooting victim wasn't an agitator or a radical. So there was a group there, Patriot Prayer. Yeah, CNN says it's a far right group. Okay, this guy died. Aaron Danielson. His friends mourned his death, and Danielson's friend could barely hold back tears and read a prepared statement recalling the years in which they've worked side by side, sharing a home and a business. We're like brothers who choose one another, absolutely inseparable. My life and my family's life forever changed in the blink of an eye. Touched our lives over the years. Through his business and personal endeavors, Jack was quick-witted, funny as could be, quick to crack a joke or offer a hug. Jay loved his community and the people in it. He loved being a Portlander, and he loved showing out-of-towners his chosen hometown. So he loved his community. Okay, so he died, and I watched this video, and they said, we've got a Trump supporter over here. And this is him. You guys can see, and the video is absolutely insane. He was a freedom-loving American, and there was just political charged protests, and then these people gunned him down after they said, hey, we've got a Trump supporter over here. So David Dorn, let's look at this one. This was a retired St. Louis police captain killed after responding to a pawn shop alarm during a looting. So they were looting this pawn shop. He responds to the call, and he was shot. I mean, some of our highest, here's Donald Trump, our highest respect to the family of David Dorn, a great police captain from St. Louis who was viciously shot and killed by despicable looters last night. We honor police officers, perhaps more than ever before. Thank you. So because of the media's rhetoric, because they said that cops were genocidal maniacs and they were racist and wanted to kill Black people in unprecedented levels after George Floyd. And because of their extreme rhetoric, people believed those accusations and then went and killed a Black police officer, which didn't make any sense, right? Doesn't make any sense. He's Black. He's a retired cop. David Dorn, 77 years old. I mean, these are at these instances, and I wanted to bring them to you today to prove that, yes, the media is the enemy. And here's why. They know these aren't true. They know that this wasn't true. They went out there and they dialed up the temperature by using all of these crazy rhetoric. And I've got clips upon clips of media saying these things. So when we come back, we're going to walk you through a few things. First, we all know the Secret Service was a bunch of DEI hires. So we're going to walk you through that. And then also Trump discusses his surreal experience in an exclusive interview with New York Post. Then I'm going to talk about Jack Black and the pathetic piece of trash that he is. So stay tuned. Woohoo! Good morning. I woke up this morning and I saw in the backyard our patio furniture had just been everywhere. I guess the winds really picked up last night, and there were some crazy winds, some crazy thunderstorms. I even got an alert on my phone that Illinois State University actually canceled today. Yeah, so ISU, they said due to these thunderstorms, a destructive thunderstorm, ISU is canceled. So I got that at about 4 a.m. This morning. So hope you're all right. Those storms, I'm kind of grateful for them, though, because it's going to bring down that temperature. And it's going to be real nice outside, hopefully, this week after some rain, some much needed rain. So hope you're all right. Thunderstorms ripped through last night. I do want to talk about the Secret Service's response on July 13th. I also need to talk about how they failed to do their job. The shooter nearly assassinated a former president. That shouldn't be happening in 2024, but there's a reason why. Post Millennial did an expose on the Secret Service and their DEI hires, their diversity, equity, and inclusion hires. A little fun fact about me: I really don't want to fly in an airplane. I've got a trip coming up in September, and I've got to go fly. And that is my biggest fear, because I know what kind of state our country is in, and I know that these DEI hires are everywhere. And it kind of freaks me out to be up in a plane with somebody who has no qualifications other than the fact that they have these biological traits that they were born with. And that kind of freaks me out. So pray for me as I'm up in the air. I'm sure if you have to fly, you're thinking the same thing I am. Is this pilot actually qualified, or were they just installed because he or she is black, or he or she is gay, or even just because they're a woman or a man? These biological traits that you're born with should not determine whether or not you get a job. So we're going to talk about that next. Trump, in an interview with the New York Post, he said some things about his surreal experience. So we're going to talk about what he said. Kyle Gass and Jack Black, they were on stage. Now, it's not breaking news that they're pathetic trash, but never underestimate how despicable these people can be. Jack Black has contributed to this rhetoric and to these accusations that Donald Trump supporters are a threat to democracy. Yada yada peanut butter, as someone, as Ty Smith would say. Yeah, that he has contributed to this rhetoric that Trump supporters are the biggest threat to democracy, and that democracy needs to be saved, and the only way to save it is if we elect President Joe Biden. Okay, so we're going to get to all of that, but first, like I said, let's talk about the shooter who nearly assassinated a former president in 2024. You'd think, okay, we've got technology, we've got all these things that should not be happening. It should be toned, or it should be brought down, the instances in which a former president or a president is shot at or attempted, his life is attempted to be taken. So in 2024, this should not be happening. And I never underestimate the left's incompetence. They stay beholden to their ideology. And because they stayed beholden to their ideology, Trump almost died. That it nearly killed Trump. So we're coming up on, oh gosh, day 4, over 72 hours since the shooting, and the Secret Service director, Kimberly Cheadle, has yet to resign. I think she should resign. Whatever you want to say, whether it was negligence or done on purpose, or if the shooter had help, whatever you want to say, there were massive failures over the weekend. That's clear, and she should resign. And it's not that she had one bad day that nearly ended in assassination. It's that she vowed to prioritize insignificant birth traits, like if you're a woman or a man, over hiring people who could at least pretend to do the job. Okay, so some of these videos I'm watching, one woman, she didn't even know how to holster her gun. She's got her gun, she's like shaking, she ducks behind the president when the shots are fired. Ducks. Like, what? Your whole job is to not duck when things break out like that. So yeah, the director, she prioritized insignificant birth traits over hiring people who were the most qualified. Okay, so the most infuriating part about all of this is that progressives have proved that they will live by the sword and they will not die on the sword. Okay, because I find it interesting that the DEI agents, now I spoke to a few people at the Trump rally, and they told me that, yeah, I've got some groupie Trump rally friends, right, where they go to multiple Trump rallies, and they just kind of follow Trump's schedule, and they go to these rallies because they are a blast. They're a lot of fun. But they told me, yeah, I had never seen any of these Secret Service agents before. There were particularly a lot of women who were there that day. So Trump got all of the DEI agents, while the people enforcing this ideology on the masses seem to be given the best of the best. You don't see an attempted assassination yet. I don't know. But if they give them DEI agents, something like this could happen. President Joe Biden, and I hope that does not happen. I really hope and pray that doesn't happen. But who knows? The DNC, like I said, in Chicago, they've got unprecedented security at this event. because of the Palestinian protests that have been going on in Chicago, and they're calling, Joe Biden genocide Joe or something like that. The left, okay, so I mean their own rhetoric. So the left, they're eating their own here on this one. So um, they're worried about that DNC anyway. I hope he doesn't have DEI agents there. But according to the Post Millennial, in wake of the assassination attempt against President Donald Trump in Pennsylvania on Saturday, many have been asking how the Secret Service allowed a would-be assassin to gain access to a rooftop roughly 130 yards away. I've heard multiple numbers. Okay, I see the mainstream reporting 400. That's not true. It's not 400 feet away. They tried to elongate that distance. I don't know why. They immediately tried to upplay the fact that he's a registered Republican. Um, and they conveniently left out that he donated to Act Blue, which is a leftist think tank. So, yeah, there's a lot of misinformation out there. 130 to 150 feet, 150 feet, 130 yards. Yes, that is correct. That is correct. When you look it up on Google yourself, you will find Google Maps that rooftop was much closer than what a lot of mainstream is saying it was. Okay, so anyway, so that rooftop 130 yards away from the former president and the GOP frontrunner with a clear line of sight. A lot of people are wondering how he gained access to the rooftop. The would-be assassin fired off 8 bullets, one of which struck Trump and the other killed a former fire chief who was protecting his family. He threw himself, Corey, threw himself in front of that bullet. So others were wounded at the campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. I haven't heard anything about how they're doing. They were both, I believe, in their 70s. So the two that were critically injured were in their 70s. I haven't heard how they're doing. I got to check in and see yet this morning if they're all right. But they were injured. It would be one thing if these agents were just bad at their job. They weren't observant. They weren't vigilant. Uh, you know, and that'd be one thing. But here's the thing: they got warning after warning after warning, and they refused to do their job. That's where my problem lies. All right, so I got to take a quick break. You're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. We'll be right back. Woohoo! Hey, this is Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. Go ahead, text in 309-451-9299. I so do appreciate you being here this morning. It's a little cloudy this morning, a little sticky this morning. Before we took the break, I was telling you about the assassination attempt on Donald Trump and these DEI hires. Secret Service allowed this would-be assassin to gain access to a rooftop not very far away from the former president and the GOP frontrunner. And he had a clear line of sight. He took eight shots, fired off 8 bullets, one of which struck Trump in the ear and killed a former fire chief who was protecting his family, threw himself in front of the bullet to protect his daughter. He was in the crowd there at the campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. Now, I had said, look, these people, they give the DEI agents to Trump, and it seems like the people enforcing this ideology on the masses that, hey, we have to include everybody just because of insignificant birth traits, over hiring people who, have actual qualifications. We want the people with the birth traits instead. So these people beholden to that ideology, they seem to always get the qualified agents, and then here's Trump with the DEI agents. But one warning is way too many. These agents had plenty of warning. There were Trump supporters. Video after video has come out. I mean, 3 minutes went by where they were warned, hey, there's a guy on the rooftop. There's a guy on the rooftop. He's got a gun. He's got a gun. And these people gave multiple reports at this Trump rally, and the cops seemed like they didn't really think it was a big deal. Look, folks, even a false threat is a serious threat, and I feel like Secret Service would get that, let alone the fact that multiple witnesses saw the shooter before it happened. So I don't know how they didn't see the guy get up on the rooftop just hundreds of feet away from Trump. Eyes turned to Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle. Now, Elon Musk, he came out with a really funny tweet. He goes, before she was protecting the president, she was guarding a bag of Cheetos. So she was like some sort of director for PepsiCo, and then she came over to the Secret Service. She was appointed to the helm of the agency by President Joe Biden nearly 2 years ago. So keep in mind, Biden appointed her. And the DHS, the same DHS that has attacked Donald Trump, impeached Donald Trump, tried to go after Donald Trump, this is the same agency that is in charge of the Secret Service. So this director, she prioritized diversity, equity, and inclusion, and she vowed for diversity to be the primary focus of the Secret Service. During Biden's first days in office, he issued executive orders requiring that every federal agency prioritize woke metrics for race, gender, sexual orientation, and their transgender status. Okay, so that was day one. Then the first days of Joe Biden being president, he said, I want you to focus on people's birth traits instead of their qualifications to be in these federal agencies. And the worst part about all of this is that she'll probably never admit that her foolish ideology, this DEI ideology of hers, had anything to do with this. No matter how painfully obvious, and there's evidence. Video after video shows that these DEI hires, these women, had no idea what they were doing. Okay, and nothing against women, but the fact of the matter is, you cannot have somebody shorter than him, out of shape, clearly out of shape, and quite literally didn't know how to holster her gun. How can you expect somebody like that to be protecting Donald Trump, who's 6'2", 3"? I don't know how tall he is, but he's way taller than she is. You can't use your body as a shield to protect this guy if you're short. Okay, and I, as a woman, there's very few jobs that I wouldn't be able to do. Being a Secret Service agent, probably one of them. for Donald J. Trump. Being a police officer, probably another job that I could not do, and most women can't do. Um, Not saying that some women can't, but most women can't do the job and do it as well as a man can, and that's just because of your physical differences. Doesn't mean that you're less than. It just means you're different. Okay, I have a twin brother, and I say it all the time. Guy can outrun me. Okay, and we're the same age. I eat healthier than him, and I run more than him on a daily basis, and he can still outrun me. You want to know why? Because he's a man. So on foot, if we were both chasing a perp, he'd beat me time and time again, and he'd get the perp. So I got to take a quick break. You're listening to Conservative Cat. We're going to get to this interview that Donald Trump did, where he goes through his surreal experience, and then I'm also going to wrap up this story about the director of Secret Service, Director Cheadle. And I've got quotes from her saying that she was more concerned about attracting diverse candidates than hiring qualified people to actually do the job. Like actual quotes from her. So we're going to run through those. Conservative Cat, we'll be right back. Glad to be back. Thank you so much, red-blooded conservative. I love that. Secret Service sniper was ordered to stand down when he had the shooter in his sights. Well before the shooting, he ended up taking the shot anyways and got fired for it. I'd love to see your info. If you could send me a message. You got to be careful out there. There was some thread out there where he claimed to be a Secret Service agent, and he was saying exactly what you're saying, that he got marching orders to not take the shot. You just got to be careful out there. I'm not saying that didn't happen. Watching the interaction between the snipes and the shooter, 150 feet away, not 450, 150 feet away from the former President Donald Trump. When I watched that interaction, it looked like he was ready to take that shot, but didn't for some reason. Now I don't know why he didn't. He had his rifle up, and he had him in his scopes in his sight, and he just hesitated, and he just, as soon as the shots rang out, then he like was surprised, and then shot the guy. He looked quite surprised that he took the shot. So I don't know if he was being told, hey, don't take the shot, he's not a threat, but keep your gun on him. I don't know. But these Secret Service snipers, they didn't look like they knew what they were doing. Okay, so they waited for him to take the first shot, which I highly doubt is in their training. I'm not going to pretend like I know the ins and outs of Secret Service. I say Dan Bongino for Secret Service Director. Am I right? I'm not going to pretend like I know. However, I do have eyes and I can see. And when I watch that video, what it tells me is that these people were perhaps told, or for whatever reason, didn't take the shot. And then when he took a shot, were surprised by that fact that the shooter took the shot at President Donald Trump and then quickly grabbed their guns and actually shot the shooter down. They had him in their sights. They refused to take the shot for a couple of minutes. And I know that there were Trump supporters saying, hey, he's got a gun, he's up on the roof, he's got a gun, he's up on the roof. So want to talk about the interviews that Director Cheadle had with CBS in the past. She revealed her top priorities for the agency, and those top priorities were creating a diverse workforce that prioritized making female agents up to 30% of its workforce by 2030. Insanity. So we're going to chat about that. Trump also did an exclusive interview, and he talked about what he was experiencing when he got shot. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about Jack Black and the distasteful joke that he made on stage. His bandmate made on stage. So keep it right here. Woohoo! Good morning. It's a Tuesday morning. We've got so much to cover with such little time. We are getting to all of it here on Conservative Cat, Cities 92.9. Hope you're all right from the storms. I woke up this morning, saw my patio furniture had been tipped over, got some wind, but surprisingly, we've got a smoker out there and some grills. Those weren't tipped over. It were these like little flimsy chairs. So I looked around. I didn't see any debris in Lincoln, Illinois. That's central Illinois. Just about 30 minutes south of Bloomington. I didn't see any debris. Did you guys get hit? I didn't get to see any photos. How badly did you get hit last night with the thunderstorms? Apparently, it was pretty bad. Bad enough for Illinois State University to cancel cancel classes. I mean, I got the text today, and they said, "Hey, destructive thunderstorm warning." Destructive thunderstorm warning. Gosh, I don't know. These people are so dramatic. And ISU is canceled. I don't know. Maybe that you did get it bad. Let me know. I don't know what it's like out there. Send in your pictures of damage of any kind of trees down or anything like that. I hope you're all right. But they canceled class. I don't know. It's hard telling what these people cancel class for these days. It seems like, oh no, you get sniffles, cancel class. But a little bit of snow on the ground, cancel class. It can't be disrupted at all. Okay, so a bunch of snowflakes, I'm telling you. When we get back from break here, I'm coming up on a break. We are going to walk you through what happened on stage. Jack Black, pathetic piece of trash. But that's not breaking news. Kyle Gass, I think his bandmate, he appears to be suffering from TDS very, very, very badly. So much so that he condoned political violence against the former president and made a birthday wish on stage where he announced that he hopes the next shooter does not miss Trump next time. Wow. Incredible. Just when you're like, oh, maybe these people aren't that bad. No, they're bad. And never underestimate how despicable these people are. I've never been a fan of Jack Black. I'm just not a big fan of these actors who are really irrelevant and they try to stay relevant. So they say really wacky things. That's Jack Black. So when we come back, we're going to talk about the director Cheadle. Some of her quotes are absolutely astounding in this past interview she did with CBS. She revealed her top priorities for the agency, the Secret Service agency, such as creating a diverse workforce that would prioritize making female agents up to 30% of the workforce by 2030. What? She even boasted about allowing a female YouTuber to train with the agents. I have no training at all. Would not be able to protect the president in any kind of way. And essentially she had an influencer training with agents and she boasted about it. So I'm going to get to some of her quotes here in the past CBS interview to prove that she put her ideology above making sure people are safe at that Trump rally. So we'll be back. This is Conservative Cat, Cities 92.9. Hey, good morning. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. Yeah, looks like the storms really were up north. I don't know. I'm looking at some damage. It looks like there were some damage to, some structures in Joliet, New Lenox area. That's further north than Bloomington Normal. We didn't get a whole lot in Lincoln, where I'm from. So I I hope you're all right. I hope you didn't get any kind of crazy damage. It's always annoying to try to believe me. We had a tree down last year and took out our entire fence, and now we got to get a new fence. It's just so annoying. One thing I will say though, I'm reading some of these headlines, just absolutely absurd. I don't know about y'all, but I don't know. I've lived enough life to know that this happens like every year. I mean, I'm reading some of these headlines and they're like, "Oh, for the second time this year, destructive thunderstorms." And it happens every year. It's tragic and it sucks, and the storms suck, but it's like, gosh, I don't know. The headlines just get crazier and crazier every time I read them. I'm just like, what's going on here? And like, I don't know if they were that bad. But let me know. Send me a text of your damage if you've got any trees down. 309-451-9299. I was talking to some folks from Joliet, and they said, yeah, we had some crazy winds. Thankfully, nothing too bad. Just some trees down, some roofs, if they are not, newer roofs, they might be ripped off. I saw in Joliet there was a roof off of a business there that had been ripped off, but I don't know. It happens every year. I'm kind of grateful for the storm. I don't know about you. I'm a little grateful because I know that the temperature, the heat is going to be come down a little bit. Yesterday was just absolutely insane. Today is going to be another hot one, but after that, I think we're going to get some cooler temps, which I'm just so grateful for. I also saw a oppressive heat was another one of these things they were saying in the media. Oppressive heat. Like what? How does? All right, and this is coming from somebody. We don't do AC. We don't have any AC. We live in an older home, and we don't have any AC, which is, I find it totally fine. Okay, yeah, it's warm, but I've lived, and my parents never turned on the AC. They were like, no, we're saving on that electric bill. We're not turning on the AC unless it gets absolutely, unbearable. But I don't know, just a bunch of snowflakes. I don't know, oppressive heat. Relax a little. It's 90 degrees in July. Okay. All right. I do have to get to this story. I wanted to get to this morning. Director Cheadle from the Secret Service, she did a CBS interview in the past, and she revealed that her top priorities for the agency were creating a diverse workforce. Okay. And she hasn't come out and she's probably never going to admit that her foolish ideology had anything to do with the attempted assassination on Donald Trump and the taking of a Trump supporter's life. That's Corey. He threw himself in front of a bullet for his daughters. He's a fire chief. Just truly tragic. She's not going to come out and apologize for this, although it's painfully obvious that the evidence suggests that these DEI hires this is what led to that attempted assassination and the killing of Corey. So, quote, as I sit in this chair right now, I am very, very concerned about attracting diverse candidates to ensure that we're developing and giving opportunities to everybody in our workforce, especially and particularly women. This is what Director Cheadle said in this interview. The left is a literal death cult, okay? And the Secret Service was never intended to be inclusive, okay? As bad things happen when unqualified people cosplay as agents. Okay? This is not cutesy time. This is the Secret Service. It's unclear if she's painfully incompetent, this director, or if she's just objectively stupid, or if she knows what she's doing is pure evil. You put people in harm's way because you're beholden to a foolish ideology. Okay, your birth rates do not make you qualified to be a Secret Service agent. Now, I do want to get to this story. Not many people have gone through a near-death experience. If you have, usually you're in some sort of state of shock. Your body goes into fight or flight response. That's not what we saw with President Donald Trump. His first reaction was to keep fighting. So he gets up and he says, fight, fight, fight. So that's his first reaction. How many people have been shot in the ear and take that as a sign to double down? I don't know. He's just built different, Donald Trump. Not many. Not many people would do that. Get shot in the air. The next day, I think he was out back on the golf course. Not many people would do that. So Trump is supposed to be dead, as he said in this interview, and he has since vowed to unify the country. So he discussed his surreal experience in an interview. He says, quote, the doctor at the hospital said he never saw anything like this. He called it a miracle. I told you yesterday, I think it was divine intervention. He's got this white bandage on his ear. Now, he's at the RNC. He made an appearance at the RNC. The song rang out, I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. You know that song? And he walks out to that song and everybody's cheering. I could only imagine what that stadium really sounded like. I mean, I could only imagine the cheers. But his staff don't really want pictures taken. But Trump doesn't care. He went out there with a loose white bandage over his right ear. And Trump said this, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be dead. I'm supposed to be dead. He got shot in the ear, lost his shoe. He goes, I need my shoe. I need my shoe. And he still wanted to finish his speech. But he couldn't for obvious reasons. He almost got shot at, or he almost died. So, this iconic photo of him has been going out where he's got the fist up in the air and he's saying fight 3 times as these agents try to pull him off stage and into this armored SUV. Trump said this in the interview. A lot of people say it's the most iconic photo they've ever seen. They're right. And I didn't die. Usually you have to die in order to have an iconic photo, but I didn't die. This is an iconic photo. There's no doubt that Trump is a fighter, and no matter what the left throws at him, it only makes him want to double down. Even an attempted assassination or attempted assassination, it makes him want to double down. By God or by luck, many people saying it's God. I'm still here. Many people are saying it's God. I'm still here. How many people do you know have survived being shot by an AR-15? Probably not very many. Trump related this, that his brush with death has changed his mind about the speech that he's going to give on Thursday to accept the party's nomination for the 3rd consecutive time. So, yes, he's going to apparently give a speech on Thursday. I know he was at the RNC yesterday and he made an appearance, which I don't think was, scripted. I think that he was supposed to wait around for a little while and then make an appearance. But Trump said, I had prepared an extremely tough speech. Really good, folks. Really good. All about the corrupt, horrible administration. And then he goes, but I threw it away. When Biden demands unification while labeling anyone who dares vote against him as a literal Nazi, Trump has promised to fight for all Americans, even the ones that hate him. Okay, and he threw away this speech. He's got a new speech, and he goes, I want to unite our country. And then he says, but I don't know if that's possible because the people are very divided right now. Yeah, how many times did Joe Biden declare MAGA Republicans pose a threat to democracy? Too many times to count. Yet Biden has the nerve to act like we, or like act, he's all in it for the betterment of the country. Get real. Get real. You don't get to call us racist Nazis. You don't get to call Trump Hitler. Trump has never said one bad word about the Biden supporters or Biden voters. Not one. And he hasn't vilified his political opponent by calling him a dictator, a fascist, Hitler. Okay, when you compare somebody to Hitler, of course, something like this is going to happen. I'm not about to turn the temperature down because he said so. This guy started the fire. He brought the temperature to a boiling point. Him and his acolytes, his media, his state media that he runs. So no, I'm not going to turn down the temperature, because you don't get to turn the temperature all the way up and bring it to a boiling point and then say, "Oh, bring down the temperature." No, you can't claim Trump is a threat to the character of our nation that gives our Constitution life. That's an exact quote from Joe Biden. He said, "Trump is a threat to the character of our nation that gives our Constitution life." And then act shocked when something like this happens. Okay. But none of that matters. And nothing really matters, whatever the left throws at him, because Trump's going to fight to unify. And that fight has just begun, and I'm very excited to see him get it done. So, Kyle Glass and Jack Black. I want to get to the story here. I got a couple of minutes. They are pathetic pieces of trash, but that's not breaking news. Don't underestimate how disgusting these people are. Kyle Gass, he appears to be suffering from TDS. Maybe send him a get well soon card, because this guy is calling and condoning for political violence against the former president. He made a birthday wish on stage where he announced that he hopes the next shooter does not miss Trump next time. So comedian Jack Black, this is his bandmate, Kyle Gass, makes a birthday wish during a performance in Sydney, Australia, and he says that he wishes they don't miss Trump next time. Black was videoed with Tenacious D, the band member, Kyle Gass, and he was with him, and he was videoed giving Tenacious D a birthday cake, and Black says, "Make a wish." Gass says, "Don't miss Trump next time." Wow. Incredible. I don't think that's very funny at all, but the crowd thought it was hilarious. Maybe, just maybe, these people are the actual evil ones. I'm just saying, that's pretty insane. Was that supposed to be funny? I think the only comical thing about all of this is that there's a guy in his 70s, Tenacious D, and he's blowing out candles on a stage like a 5-year-old girl. That's the funny part about all of this. And the audience proved themselves to be just as pathetic as these people are, because they laughed and clapped like the trained seals that they are. According to the Daily Mail, Jack Black's bandmate made a tasteless comment about the assassination attempt against Donald Trump just hours after the former president was nearly shot dead in Pennsylvania. This was just hours, folks. The actor's comedy band, Tenacious D, and Kyle Gass is a member of that, they were on stage in Sydney, Australia, when Black brought out this birthday cake for the bandmate and asked him to make a wish. He actually said, "Don't miss Trump next time." I mean, the worst part about all of this is that Jack Black, has contributed to the rhetoric that I opened the show with. I talked about the senseless, the rhetoric that has led to multiple Trump supporters dying, multiple cops dying, people dying all over the country. And Black has contributed to that rhetoric that makes this assassination attempt really just unsurprising. It doesn't shock me at all when you call somebody a dictator or a fascist or Hitler. Of course, that's going to happen. Last month, Black, 54 years old, by the way, delivered a speech in Los Angeles. He endorsed Joe Biden, and he said, quote, "Democracy is at stake in November." However, he stopped short of explaining what he meant by democracy being at stake, but it appears his definition of saving democracy is not missing political opponents. Yeah. Is that what you mean, Jack? These people are so irrelevant. They'll say anything to make them a little bit relevant, no matter how evil it is. And I've never really cared for Jack Black. He just says things that are crazy off the wall because he's irrelevant. We can almost be certain he wouldn't make that joke had something similar happened to Joe Biden. To say this joke was reprehensible is just an understatement. I got to take a quick break, but when we come back, I'm very excited because I'm going to walk through what it would look like if Ohio Senator J.D. Vance went up against Kamala Harris in a debate, which they're slated to do. There's supposed to be a VTP debate. Who knows at this point? The Biden Harris campaign might cancel it. I don't know. But we're going to talk about what that would look like, because I think JD Vance would just absolutely wipe the floor with Kamala Harris. That's next on Conservative Cat, Cities 92.9. Find me on YouTube. We'll be right back. remind them that you can use these two existing federal laws to obtain information from the Department of Homeland Security about an individual's citizenship or immigration status for any lawful purpose. So there's a couple of laws, federal laws, that they can use when checking to make sure that individuals voting in this election are not voting illegally and are not registered illegally. So you can clean up these voter rolls. And I would, place some calls today, do something to protect the sanctity of our elections, because really it's an issue that affects everything. Okay. If our elections don't have integrity, then nothing else matters. So Illinois county clerks can use these two laws when executing elections this go around. So they should be using these two laws to clean up the voter rolls and make sure non-citizens are not on the voter rolls. Now, I'm not saying that these non-citizens, I've spoken to quite a few of these illegal immigrants who have come over the border here in my hometown of Lincoln, or in my town of Lincoln, and in my hometown, Wilmington. I even spoke to a Romanian immigrant in Bloomington, and we talked for quite some time. I've talked to these people. They are for the most part, a lot of them are good people. Some of them are not. Let me be clear about that. Some of them have only come to the United States to steal, kill, and destroy. Okay, there are some migrants, and I will get to one example here in just a little second when I talk about J.D. Vance and Kamala Harris and how their debate is going to play out. But there are some immigrants out there who only came to this country to cause and just wreak all kinds of havoc. Okay, but most, I would say, pretty genuine, nice people. But they were sold a bill of goods, and they were lied to, and they said that there was all kinds of prosperity here in America. You, as an American, probably know that there's not all kinds of prosperity here in America right now, because a lot of Americans are in all kinds of credit card debt and are paycheck to paycheck. Okay? A majority of America is like that. So, so they're great people, and they don't know that they're being registered to vote. Okay, so a lot of these federal agencies, these bureaucrats, these NGOs, these non-government organizations, they are registering these people, these non-citizens, and they have no clue that it's an actual felony to be registered. See, the left does not need an illegal immigrant to vote. They don't need them to show up to the polls. They need them to register and get on the voter rolls, because it's easier to steal an election that way, request a mail-in ballot, and cast a mail-in ballot in his or her name. Okay, so I encourage election authorities all throughout the country and this state to use these two laws and to clean up your voter rolls and make sure these non-citizens are not on them, not just for the integrity of our elections, but to make sure these people have a pathway to citizenship. Okay, so if they are on those voter rolls, then they are committing a felony. And a lot of these people do not know they're committing felonies, because they get voter registration forms shoved in their face, and they don't know in their own language. There's a language barrier there, and they could have accidentally registered as a voter in federal elections. So we'll get to that story a little bit more here coming up in just a little bit. I do want to get to J.D. Vance, okay, former President Donald Trump. He selected Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, which is a good thing here for us Illinoisans, because he's a central Midwest guy. So he might understand, the problems that the Midwest faces a little bit more. And I think it's great that we have a VP from the Midwest. I'm pretty sure he's going to be the VP. Right away, totally organic and not contrived at all. The K-Hive, get it? Beyonce's beehive for Kamala Harris. The fan base, Beyonce's fan base, they came up with this beehive thing. So they all are equating that to Kamala Harris, and they're calling her K-Hive on X Twitter, proclaiming that Harris is totally going to smoke J.D. Vance at the vice presidential debate. If J.D.'s Senate debates against his career politician, Representative Tim Ryan, his opponent, or any indication of what's to come, nope. There is no way that Kamala Harris is prepared for this vice presidential debate, and let alone win this vice presidential debate. So the main knock on Vance is that he was a never Trumper in 2016 and said mean things about Trump in the past. Okay, the answer to that is very simple. Yeah, and I know plenty of people who voted for Joe Jorgensen, libertarian candidates, over Donald Trump in 2016. And you know, I know plenty of people who changed their mind about Donald Trump. So the response to that is yeah. And Kamala Harris during the 2020 primary, not in 2016, but in the 2020 primary, claimed that Joe Biden was a racist and probably sexually assaulted his aide. That's what Kamala Harris accused Joe Biden of. But also, JD Vance has the same opinion about Trump that a lot of us had in 2016. Is this really a good guy? I don't know. Is this real? Is he legit? And he was a never Trumper in 2016, a successful first Trump term. The unmitigated disaster of the Biden regime. We're seeing just how radical and unhinged progressives have gotten. We're seeing how radical they are. I mean, that changes a lot when you go through an actual presidency that was awesome, 4 years of a Trump term, and then you go through the Biden regime, this disaster that has been the Biden regime, and then you're starting to see the radicalism in the unhinged progressives go after former presidents and sitting presidents. They're the ones who call him Genocide Joe. Okay, these people are insane. That changes a lot for somebody. And, you might have been a never Trumper in 2016. Hell, you're probably a never Trumper right now if you're listening. I know some of you do. You might be a never Trumper, but I mean, really, genuinely sit down, think about the first Trump term, think about this disaster that we're in right now, and think about how radical and unhinged the progressives have gotten. And tell me again you're a never Trumper. Okay, anyway, so Vance's message is going to be very simple for voters. Listen, I get it. I used to feel this way about Donald Trump too. Here's why I changed my mind. So that is going to be the message from JD Vance. I think that him being a never Trumper in 2016 actually helps Donald Trump. So Kamala Harris is going to try to use that against him. I hope she doesn't, because she's going to have egg on her face when he brings up that she called Joe Biden a racist and accused him of sexually assaulting his aide. So yeah, let's hope she doesn't bring that up. But Vance's biggest task is going to be introducing himself to America. A lot of people don't know who JD Vance is. I followed his work. He's great. America First Senator. I would have liked to see Vivek Ramaswamy just because I think he's more hated by the left than JD Vance. But I think he's going to crush that vice presidential debate. That is another big task before him. Not only introducing himself to the American people, but also crushing this vice presidential debate. That is going to be crucial. And the left apparently haven't learned their lesson from a few weeks ago, the presidential debate. And they're saying that Kamala is going to wipe the floor with JD. And, they all said that about Joe Biden. Oh, Joe Biden's going to wipe the floor with Trump. Oh, come on. Let's take a look at JD Vance's Senate debates against his opponent and career Democrat politician. His name is Tim Ryan. So Ryan tried to hit Vance with accusations of racism. You're racist, Vance. And this is going to be the first card that Kamala Harris plays, of course. And she's going to play this card against him. And Vance was accused of supporting what the left in the media, but I repeat myself, call the Great Replacement Theory. So they always whip this one out real quick. They're like, oh, you're a supporter of the Great Replacement Theory. And really what the Great Replacement Theory is they accuse you of subscribing to that theory if you're just somebody who asks questions about illegal immigration restrictions and why the Democrats oppose those restrictions. Okay, if you're just asking the question, hey, why are you opposed to illegal immigration restrictions? Well, you're a supporter of the Great Replacement Theory. But so then they call you racist for thinking illegal immigration is a bad thing. That's what this whole Great Replacement Theory really is all about. So Tim Ryan, he accused him of being racist, J.D. Vance. And here's J.D. Vance's response. I'll read it to you when he was in the Senate debates. Here's exactly what happens when the media and the people like Tim Ryan accuse me of engaging in the great replacement theory. My own children, my biracial children, get attacked by scumbags online and in person because you are so desperate for political power that you'll accuse me, the father of 3 beautiful biracial babies, of engaging in racism. You can believe in the border without being racist. You can believe in the country without being racist. And this just shows how desperate this guy is for political power. So, yes, he has biracial children, J.D. Vance. And he accused him of being racist, which is really funny. But yeah, it just goes to show that you're willing to divide. These people are the dividers of the nation. And he accused him of being racist, which just is not true, genuinely not true. And how do I know that? He has biracial children. Okay. So it just goes to show that this guy is so desperate for political power. He's willing to divide people and hurt his biracial children by claiming that the other side, because they want things like legal immigration and they're against things like illegal immigration, that they're racist. Okay. So the other issue that Kamala Harris is probably going to focus on is the abortion issue. I've got to take a quick break. You're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. We're going to be right back. Kamala Harris going to focus on the abortion issue. Good morning. Hey, morning, Henry. I so do appreciate the Lord keep you and may his light always shine upon you. Oh, you're so sweet. Video keeps freezing for a second or two. That's not good. Maybe it's the internet, so I can try to fix that. Okay, this might help. We'll see. I got a million things open. So, Henry, I don't think that you're around, but I do want to revisit, my opening of the show this morning. Hey, these people will sit down and tell you, hey, you need to tone down the temperature or tone down your rhetoric. You need to bring down the temperature. I'm not going to be doing that. I don't think you should, because I know who it's coming from. It's coming from the left and from the media. And Washington, D.C., they're demanding that you tone down your rhetoric. And these are the same people that, brought the temperature to a boiling point. And when they bring the temperature to a boiling point and it backfires, they do this both sides thing. And I'm not calling for physical violence. I'm not asking you to hurt anybody. That is not what I am saying at all. So don't misconstrue what I say. But I will say that there is time for violence, and there is time for political violence. Violence is not unprecedented. This is not that one of those times. What I am saying is that violence plays a role in American politics. And if you say it's unprecedented or violence has never played a role in American politics, you're an idiot and you don't know what you're talking about. Now, what is unprecedented is a conviction and impeachment, indictments of a political opponent who hasn't committed an actual crime. To this day, I don't think that anybody can tell me what crime he committed because he hasn't committed any crime, an actual crime. So the goal to destroy a person and worse, his supporters, even after he's peacefully left office, is actually unprecedented. So again, never acceptable. Or I'm not saying that political violence is never acceptable. I'm just saying that, not right now. There's no call. I'm not calling for physical violence or for you to hurt anybody. But I do believe violence is acceptable in some cases. The American Revolution was a good thing. Ending slavery was a good thing. And if you have a disagreement about abortion or foreign wars, this is a disagreement about violence, right? So there's all kinds of political violence, and it's not unprecedented in American politics. I'm not going to call for you to stop calling the leftists in the media in this country the enemy, because I really believe they are the enemy, and I have proof of that, and we have proof of that. Not everyone is supposed to be your friend. Not everyone sits in a circle and sings kumbaya. You have enemies, you have allies. You only make allies when you agree on a common enemy, and you protect your communities when you understand the active threats, and those active threats you determine are based on truth. So the truth is the media and the left are your enemy, and here's why. These people labeled you and Trump Nazis, white supremacist, Hitler. Okay, now there is this famous question: would you go back in time and kill baby Hitler? And a lot of people might say no to that because he's an innocent at that time. He hasn't committed the atrocities that he did. But without a doubt, if you were to ask somebody, would you go back in time and kill Hitler as an adult? Well, you remove the innocent part of it, and you would say 100% I would kill Hitler if he was an adult. And, I would go back in time and kill him before he had a chance to, or, knowing that he committed all these atrocities, I would kill him so he wouldn't do it anymore. Okay, so when you compare Trump to somebody like Hitler, what you're really doing is you're calling for somebody to kill him. Okay, because everybody would say, yes, I would kill Hitler. Okay. Not all enemies require physical violence, but they do need to be stopped. I think they need to be stopped at the ballot box. I think they need to be exposed for who they are. The media needs to be exposed for who they are, what they've done. And I'm about to do that right now. You label somebody a fascist, you're the enemy. You kill fellow Americans, you're the enemy. You kill people at political rallies. You kill people. You kill cops. These people, or if somebody tells you that it's okay to lock you down and close down your business, and they said, "Oh, we're doing it because we're saving democracy or whatever," during COVID, those people are your enemy. Okay, so it's very clear who our enemy is. Anyone who actively accuses you of things that you genuinely have not done. All right, I'm back. Hey, good morning. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. Before we took the break, I was telling you a little bit about J.D. Vance, how he would respond to Kamala Harris if she focuses on the issue of abortion. Okay, so I'm going to get to that here on Conservative Cat a little bit later. We might just hit the voter integrity groups. They're urging the advancement of the SAVE Act, but they're also drawing attention to a legal strategy that they say Illinois county clerks can use when executing elections. So I think that you should ring up your election authority. Okay, tell them that they can use this legal strategy. I'll post it on the Facebook page of Cities 92.9. It's a legal strategy. I'll tell you what to say. I'll write a letter for you to say to your county clerk. In Illinois, I think all county clerks across the nation should be using this to clean up their voter rolls. Okay, there's two laws that you can use. They're federal laws to clean up your voter rolls and get non-citizens and remove non-citizens from those rolls, because that's very crucial, because if the rolls are bloated, nefarious people will steal the election. Okay, so we'll get to that, but I want to get to Kamala Harris. If she were to focus on an abortion issue, on the abortion issue in a vice presidential debate, J.D. Vance would wipe the floor with her. Okay, unmarried single women are the only demographic she and Joey are still crushing it with. Okay, everybody else, they don't like Joe and Kamala. Okay, so they've made it the focal point of their reelection, of course, abortion. So the issue came up during the Vance-Ryan debate, Tim Ryan. And, if you just look at these Senate debates that J.D. Vance had against his opponent and career politician Tim Ryan, you'll see that he is going to wipe the floor with Kamala Harris. All of her little fan base on Twitter is like, yeah, K-Hive. We love Kamala Harris. She's going to wipe the floor with J.D. Vance. Okay. So the issue of abortion came up during a Vance-Ryan debate. And of course, at issue was the horrific story from 2022 where a 10-year-old girl was raped and she had to travel out of state to get an abortion over the misinterpretation of Ohio's heartbeat bill. Okay, so they misinterpreted Ohio's heartbeat bill. They thought that they couldn't get an abortion in Ohio. They traveled to a different state to get an abortion. This is a rare, extreme case that has been used by the Democrats to paint all Republicans as extremists for not supporting abortion up until birth. Okay, so Republicans, we don't support abortion. I believe life starts at conception. Okay, but most Republicans, they are not extreme on the issue of abortion. They say leave it up to the states, and Trump has said leave it up to the states. Okay, the Supreme Court has said leave it up to the states, and that is exactly what's unfolding in this country. Okay, so anyway, Tim Ryan attempted to do the same thing with Vance, where he uses this horrific story, and Vance explained his real position on abortion as it's specific to this case, and he just went for the jugular. He just laid Tim Ryan out. So this is what JD Vance says. Why was a 10-year-old girl raped in our community, raped in our state in the first place? JD Vance is from Ohio. The thing that the media and Congressman Ryan, they talk about this all of the time, but the thing is they will never mention that this poor girl was raped by an illegal alien, someone who should have never been in the state in the first place. You voted so many times, Tim, against border funding, border wall funding, so many times for amnesty for illegal aliens. Had you have done your job, she would have never been raped in the first place. Okay, so a total jugular move. I mean, absolutely incredible. And I think that JD Vance is going to do just fine against cackling Kamala. I think that he's going to handle himself very well. And exactly right. This poor girl, she would have never been raped. I think it's interesting. The Democrats, they jump to, oh, she couldn't get an abortion in this state. Okay, what about the fact that she was raped by an illegal alien in this country who should have never been here in the first place? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how you vote to give these people amnesty. You vote against border wall. You vote against border security. So don't give me that, this extreme case. And really, they just misinterpreted the Ohio heartbeat bill. And this is a rare extreme case used by all Democrats, especially the Illinois Democrats, to get their way on that in Springfield, okay, to pass all kinds of crazy abortion laws to where the point where we're paying for people's out-of-state, like out-of-staters to come here to the state of Illinois with taxpayer money. We're paying for their abortions now. This makes absolutely no sense. You can be 10, 12 years old, cross state lines, and get an abortion here on the taxpayer's dime. That's absurd. And it doesn't get much more extreme than that. Okay, I do want to get to this, but I do have to take a break. Conservative Cat Cities 92.9. We'll be right back. Woohoo! Hey, thanks so much for joining me here on the live stream. So do appreciate it. Henry, just saw a report on the Secret Service. Not only undermanned, it was also not the first line security. It was DEI, Homeland Union. Ha. Okay, yeah, I said that this morning. Yes, I was talking about the DEI agents and how, of course, Donald Trump got the DEI agents, and they would not send their worst for somebody like Joe Biden. Okay, they definitely gave Joe Biden or Trump that day the B team. They gave him the B team. So Henry, I do like this Ephesians 6:12 fun little interesting thing that has been circulating on social media, actually. Ephesians 6:11 says, "Put on the full armor of God." Trump was shot at exactly 6:11. I don't think that's a coincidence, but here's 6:12 Ephesians. For we not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principles, against powers, and against the rulers of the darkness of this world, and spiritual wickedness in high places. Yes, so that is exactly what I'm talking about when I was discussing the enemy. The left in the media, they are the enemy of the people. And when I say the left in the media, I'm talking about the principles and the powers and the rulers. I'm talking about the ruling class when I say that they are the enemy. Okay. Now, am I calling for violence? No, just a disclaimer. I said I'm not calling for violence. However, I am not going to condone you turning down your rhetoric and toning down your rhetoric and turning down the temperature. I'm not going to be doing that because I know that the calls to turn down the temperature and tone down your rhetoric are coming from the people that are our enemy. And we don't listen to our enemies, do we? No. So we'll be back. I'm going to tell you about these two laws. This is really crucial. America First Legal, they sent this to 50 states, and they said Congress has imposed upon the DHS a mandatory obligation to respond to lawful inquiries about an individual's citizenship or immigration status. Should the DHS refuse or fail to provide information, election authorities can initiate legal action to obtain it. Okay, so they can obtain immigration information on these voters or on the voter rolls. Okay, so we're going to be chatting about that here coming up in just a little bit. Go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'll be right back. Woohoo! Hey, it's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. Hey, before we took the break, I was telling you a little bit about America First Legal. They sent out some letters to the Attorney General, Kwame Raoul, Governor. They sent them to the Illinois State Board of Elections. This is crucial. And I'm going to help you out. I'm going to draft up a letter. I'm going to post it on Cities 92.9's Facebook page. You can send this letter to your county clerk. I think it's crucial that we get these to our county clerks, our election authorities. That's the BEC and the McLean County County Clerk's Office. So in a letter, America First Legal said Congress has imposed upon the DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, a mandatory obligation to respond to lawful inquiries about an individual's citizenship or immigration status. Should the DHS fail or refuse to provide this information, election authorities can initiate legal action to obtain it. Okay, so there's a couple of laws that give election authorities the ability to inquire about people on their voter rolls and if they're citizens or not. Okay, so we know that it is illegal for a non-citizen to be registered and or to vote in federal elections. Now, what they can do, they can inquire about somebody's citizenship status, the election authorities. So that's Kathy Michael. What they can do is inquire about an individual's citizenship or immigration status if they're on the voter rolls. So state and local authorities, local election authorities should submit requests to the DHS to verify citizenship or immigration status of registered voters on voter rolls where there are any reliable indicators that a voter may not be a U.S. citizen. Okay, so you can do this as an election authority, and they're required, the DHS is mandated to give you this information about an individual's citizenship. Now, in Illinois, there is just so much baked into the cake where they are trying to get these agencies to not disclose somebody's immigration status, the DMV information obtained during the automatic voter registration process. They are trying to get it to where, and they have gotten it to where, you cannot share that information with the Illinois State Board of Elections. So if the State Board of Elections were to find out that some people were registered or voted in an election and they were non-citizens, they couldn't do anything to start an investigation because they can't even obtain the information regarding their voter registration. So that's that story. You guys have a great rest of your day. That's going to be the end of the show. We'll do it all again tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Be sure to find me on YouTube. That's The Conservative Cat Show. Just type it in your search bar, Conservative Cat Show, and subscribe to that YouTube channel. You guys have a blessed day. I love you. Bye-bye.